ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णा चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेषु भिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। आप सभी का स्वागत है।
We welcome all of you
गीता के प्रवचन
to today's class on Bhagavad Gita. We are studying chapter 3 verse number 28.
श्लोक में भगवान ने बताया था कि
In the previous verse, Bhagavan had said that whatever actions are happening, they are happening by the gunas of Prakriti.
व्यक्ति अपने अहंकार के कारण
But due to ahankar,
उनको स्वयं का कर्ता समझता है।
human being starts considering himself as the doer.
धीरा बोलो भाई।
I hope you're keeping well. Hope everything is well in the ashram. I want to just thank you for a nice class.
Just press.
There's a point you made which I'm just trying to tease out and try to probably come to grasp with it. So trying to question its validity and ownership thereafter. For instance, you said that there's not a single thought that you have that is actually of your own. It's actually taking place in the brain, impulses, which is actually basically just Prakriti interacting, and thereafter you get the thought. So it's not actually your thought as well. So I'm trying to grasp around this, that there's no use taking ownership for anything. You can't say, it was my thought, my idea, my concept, be positive or negative, because ultimately everything's happening by Prakriti. So now this poses 2 points which I'm struggling with. One is that Prakriti is Jad, it has no consciousness. So how is it interacting? What's causing it to interact in a specific way?
और बस इतना ही है, ठीक है। तो उसका प्रश्न ये है,
So the question is
पिछले क्लास
that in the previous class,
पिछले श्लोक में बोला था,
in the previous verse, Bhagavan had said,
who's embodied in that body working ways, of which they have no input, it's doing all the work. Then how can you, and that comes to the point of even the sense of minus and I-ness. If I take, if the fact that I think I am the doer, that thought itself is a product of Prakriti. And so therefore, how can I be suffering for a thought that did not generate from me? So basically it's coming down to that little bit of independence, and then specifically on the spiritual path, this ability to want to follow the spiritual path, this ability to desire to follow the spiritual and struggle along this path. Where does all that also originate from? And accountability, how can I be held accountable for thoughts that I haven't caused? Just teasing it out, trying to explore it through its thoroughness so I can get a proper grasp of it. Maybe you can even expand on this topic next week's class, because I was having difficulty formulating it at the time. Please try to understand the essence of what I'm saying. I'm not very good at the words. Thank you. Bye.
तो उनका प्रश्न जो है वो पिछले
So
श्लोक पर
his
आधारित है।
question is based on the previous verse where Bhagavan had said that all actions are conducted by the senses that are composed of the gunas of Prakriti. Yet the person whose mind is deluded by egoic identification thinks I am the doer. So question is, if Prakriti is doing everything, then what is our responsibility? Why should we be made to suffer for the actions?
दूसरी बात यह है कि जब सब
And the other point is that if everything is being done by Prakriti, then we do not have doership in that. Then
मत कीजिए,
why should we be told that do this, don't do that? What Dharma tells us that
धर्म के
follow Dharma, speak the truth,
असत्य मत बोलो,
do not speak lie.
तो इस सब का तो फिर कोई प्रयोजन रहता ही नहीं,
Then
क्योंकि
these statements do not make any sense because
है नहीं,
we anyway do not have any freedom to choose that I should do this or I should not do that. We are totally under the control of Prakriti. Like when you are sitting inside the bus, then you are in the control.
आप ऐसा नहीं सोच
Wherever the bus goes, you also go there only.
पश्चिम की तरफ जा रही है और मैं,
You cannot say that if the bus is going in the west, I will go in the east.
तो इसी प्रकार
That is not possible. Similarly, if in this body everything is being done by Prakriti and we cannot do anything, then we do not have any responsibility. We are like a machine, like robots today.
उनका प्रश्न है।
So this is his question.
तो इस प्रश्न का उत्तर
So this question,
देने के लिए कुछ
in order to understand that, we have to understand few things, and for that I will read the next verse, verse number 28. It contains the answer.
भगवान बोलते हैं तत्ववित्तु महाबाहो गुण कर्म विभागयोः गुणा गुणेषु वर्तन्ते इति मत्वा न सज्जते। परंतु हे महाबाहो,
Translation. But, O mighty armed, one who knows the truth of the self's distinction from the mind and senses or gunas and their functions, karma, remains unattached, knowing that only the mind and senses or gunas are engaged with their respective objects, guneshu.
कम बैक, चलिए भाई। सो धीर ललित जी सुनिए ध्यान से अभी आप।
So now please listen carefully because your question is very important and it is a very philosophical question, because we always hear that Prakriti is doing anything. Then the question is raised that if Prakriti is doing everything, then what is my responsibility? Why do I fall in the bondage of karma?
तत्व वस्तु है, इसको समझना आसान नहीं है और इसको समझने का थोड़ा प्रयास हमको करना चाहिए।
And we should endeavor hard to understand Tattva. There are two angles of vision for understanding Tattva. One is from the view of angle of Tattva and one is our own angle. Because everything
एक प्रकार से ही नहीं है,
everything is not just of one type. Like if you are living in a country and how an ordinary citizen functions,
लेकिन
that is one thing.
जो लोग
But
देश के तंत्र को चलाते
those
हैं,
who are who are running the government, they see from another angle,
नियम उनके ऊपर उसी प्रकार लागू नहीं होते हैं
and the
जैसे
laws
एक
are not
साधारण व्यक्ति के
applicable
ऊपर लागू
to those people in government exactly the same way they are
क्यों?
applicable on
क्योंकि उनकी
ordinary
जो
citizens,
दृष्टि है
because the vision
वो
of
बहुत
the
ही
leaders
विस्तृत होती है,
in the government is very
वो
wide.
पूरे देश को
they
नहीं होती है,
they see the
जो
whole
हमारा
country
व्यक्ति होता है वो केवल
as a whole.
अपनी दृष्टि से
An
देखता है।
ordinary citizen
तो
is
इसी प्रकार ये जो
mostly
तत्व है
thinking from his own point of
इसको
view. That's
कई
why
प्रकार की दृष्टियों
tattva
से देखा जा सकता है। एक
can be seen
ऊपर से
from
देखने
many
वाले
angles of
जिसको
vision. One
भगवान
is
है, जिनको हम
seeing from the
अंतिम तत्व मानते हैं,
angle of
वो एक
Bhagavan,
तत्व
whom we understand as the ultimate tattva.
ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवानिति शब्दते, तो उनकी दृष्टि एक प्रकार से
So
है क्योंकि
he
वो
has
आत्मा
one
को
type of
जानते ही
vision.
नहीं है।
He is not a
भगवान
conditioned
को
atma
जानते ही
like
नहीं
us.
है, क्योंकि
He
माया
also
है
owns this prakriti,
मम माया दुरत्या,
this material nature. He
एक जीव
says,
ऐसा गुण
Mama
है
Maya
मम माया
Duratya,
दुरत्या, कि ये जो माया है ये मेरी है,
that this Maya,
गुणमयी है,
it is mine
तो उनकी दृष्टि
and it is made of
ये प्रकार
gunas.
है। और हम
So
जो
this
हैं
is his
उनके एक अंश हैं,
vision and we are his angsha.
हमारी दृष्टि है,
So we have our own vision.
दोनों दृष्टि हमारा
So
शास्त्र जो है दोनों तरफ से बताता है।
Shastra explains from
लेकिन
both
जब
angles of
तत्व की
vision.
दृष्टि से देखते हैं
When we
तो
see
वास्तव
from
में
the point
हमारे
of
हाथ में कुछ
tattva,
भी नहीं है,
then actually
कुछ
there
भी
is
नहीं है,
nothing in our hands. This is the reality.
यानी कि सब कुछ प्रकृति की तरफ से हो रहा है।
Meaning everything is
और
happening
उसका
from
कारण
the
क्या है?
point of prakriti,
जैसे
by prakriti,
भगवान
done
कहते
is
हैं
being done by prakriti only. And
महाबाहो
what is the reason?
गुणकर्म विभाग,
Like here Bhagavan is
कि जो
telling
तत्ववेत्ता है, जो तत्व को जानता है,
that those who are the tattva
वह
vetas,
गुण
who know
और
the
गुण
truth,
के विभाग को जानता है।
they understand the distinction
तो
of
गुण
the
क्या है?
gunas and the karma.
गुण के अनेक अर्थ हैं,
So
लेकिन
what is guna?
यहाँ पर
Guna
जो
has many meanings,
इंद्रियां,
but here we have given the
क्योंकि
meaning
हमारी जितनी भी
mind and
क्रियाएं हैं वो
senses,
हमारी शरीर
because
इंद्रिय से होती
all
हैं।
the functions that we perform, they are being done by
इंद्रियां
the
हमसे
body.
क्रिया करती हैं और जो
So
क्रिया होता है उसको कर्म कहते हैं। तो ये दो विभाग हैं, एक
we
गुण
do
का
the
विभाग है
function by
और एक
the
कर्म का
body,
विभाग है।
and that function is called the karma.
पिछले श्लोक में
So
भगवान ने कहा
two
कि
divisions,
गुणेषु
guna and karma.
कर्माणि गुणैः
So like
कर्मणि
in the previous
सर्वशः,
verse,
ये सब
Bhagavan
क्रियाएं
said
जो हैं वो गुण
that
के
all
द्वारा
the
होती हैं।
functions are being
वहाँ पर
performed by the gunas.
एक गुण जो किसी वस्तु के अच्छे बुरे गुण होते हैं उसको भी गुण शब्द से
Like a
कहते हैं।
person has good and
वस्तु
or
के
bad
जो बुरे
gunas,
गुण हैं उनको भी गुण कहते हैं। और क्योंकि हर चीज गुणों से बनी हुई है,
that
तो
Prakriti is
शरीर
made of
इंद्रियां भी
sattva,
गुणों से
rajas,
बनी है, इसलिए
tamas.
इंद्रियों
So
की भी
everything is made of gunas. So the senses are also made of gunas. So guna is used for indriyas, for the vishaya, because everything is made of
तो यहाँ
gunas.
पर अगर हम ये अर्थ
So
करें कि
here,
इंद्रियों से
if
क्रियाएं
we
हो रही हैं और गुण
give the
कर्म कर
meaning
रहे हैं,
that the
तो
functions
इससे
are
ये
being
भान
done by
नहीं
the
है
senses, so one who
कि ये
understands
इंद्रियां
this
मैं
division,
और मैं इनसे अलग हूँ,
that these are senses and these are the functions, and I am
तो वो फिर
different
समझता है
from
कि
this,
गुण ही गुणों में
then
वर्तते
he
हैं,
understands that
यानी कि इंद्रियां अपने
the
विषय में रमण कर रही हैं।
gunas are engaged with their
अब
respective
इसलिए वो उसमें
objects,
आसक्त नहीं होता है,
meaning the senses are
क्योंकि
engaged with their respective
आसक्ति का
objects.
कोई
Then such a
आवश्यक
person
नहीं है,
does not become attached,
आवश्यकता ही
because
नहीं है।
there is no reason for the person to become
अब जैसे
attached.
मेरा एक ये हाथ
Just
है
like
और मेरे यहाँ
I
पे
have these
दर्द है, मैं
hands,
दूसरे हाथ से
and
इसको दबाता हूँ, तो इसमें वास्तव में
if
मैं
there
हूँ
is
नहीं,
itching on my hand, actually I am
क्योंकि
nowhere
ये दूसरा हाथ है, ये इसको
in this
पकड़ रहा है
itching. One hand is
और मैं इधर बैठा
scratching
हुआ हूँ।
the other one, and I am just seated.
लेकिन जब हम इसको अपने में लगाते हैं तो कहते हैं मेरा हाथ में खुजली हो रही है,
But when
वास्तव
we
में मैं
identify
नहीं
it with
हूँ,
ourselves, then we
मैं
say
पैदा
that
नहीं हुआ था तो ये शरीर मेरा
I
नहीं
am
था।
itching. But
तो
what is
अगर हम
mine?
इसको
When I
शरीर
was
अपना कहने लगे, मरने
before,
के बाद में
only
कहने
after
लगे,
birth I started saying
तो
this is my
जिसका
body.
ये
After death I will be separated from the
जिसका
elements of this
जिससे
body.
बना हुआ है,
So the gunas,
पृथ्वी जल वायु
the
अग्नि
tattva
आकाश
with which this
इंद्रियां,
body is made,
इनसे
the
बनी हुई
five
है,
elements,
तो ये मेरे तो है नहीं है।
they are not mine.
हो सकता है कि जो तत्व आपके शरीर में है एक दिन वो मेरे शरीर में थे, जो तत्व मेरे शरीर में है एक दिन वो आपके शरीर में होंगे।
maybe the elements that were in my body, one another some other time they may be in your body, or the elements in your body, you may say one day they may be in my body. Like you say, this is my breath. How long will you say that this is my breath?
तो फिर सांस को छोड़ देंगे, फिर
So
वो
when you
सांस कोई और
exhale,
लेगा।
then the air will be inhaled by someone else. Then that air belongs to that other person then.
तो इस
And
सांस में
life is running on breath. So this breath is also not yours.
वायु है,
We are seated in this room,
एक दूसरे के सांस भी तो ले रहे हैं।
so we all are breathing. So are we not
इसी प्रकार
breathing
ये प्रकृति के
each other's
अंग
air?
हैं और इनसे
So
मिलके बने हैं।
similarly, we have these elements of material nature, and body is composed of these elements, and I am seated inside the body. But I start thinking that this is mine,
तो उसी
or
में
this function is mine.
बंधन हो जाता है।
So then this leads to
तो
bondage.
ये एक बहुत बड़ा खेल है।
So this is a great
तो
game.
इसको इस प्रकार से देखना,
So seeing it in this
तो आप
way,
इस खेल से बाहर हो जाएंगे। फिर
then you will be out of the
इसमें
game.
आसक्त हो जाना तो आप,
And if you become attached to this game, then you will also be a part of this
तो
game.
यहाँ प्रश्न आता है कि उन्होंने
So
कहा
then the question may be raised, as he said, that why do I have to suffer for this if everything is happening externally? So I have to suffer because I identify myself with this as if this is mine. If I do not identify with that, if I do not consider it to be mine, then I will not have to suffer.
लोकान न हंतिर्न निबध्यते। भगवान ये बात यही 18वें अध्याय में भी जाके बात कहते हैं, बहुत बार कहते हैं ये बात को। यहाँ 13वें, 4थे, 5वें, 13वें और 18वें अध्याय में ये बात बार बार आएगी।
So in various chapters, Bhagavan will speak about this repeatedly.
क्रियाएं तो हो ही रही हैं,
So functions are anyway going on,
को हम पकड़कर जब
karma is happening, but when I attach myself with that, saying this is mine, then I become bound to it. This is the only bondage. There is no other bondage.
गुणस्य माया मूलत्वात् न मे मोक्षो न बंधनम। भगवान उद्धव को समझाते हैं, उद्धव गीता में
Bhagavan explains to Uddhav ji
ये जो बंधन और जो मोक्ष है,
that the bondage and liberation, they are not there in reality. They are just because of the gunas. There also Bhagavan has used the same word.
गुणता,
There also he says gunata, that it is just by the gunas,
वास्तव में नहीं है।
not in reality.
तो जैसे सर्प आप देखते हैं रस्सी
Like
में,
you see a snake in a rope, the snake is not actually there in the rope, but still you see it, and then you also become afraid by that. Similarly, this bondage and liberation is just due to the gunas, and the gunas are from Maya, and because of that we become bound.
तो फिर प्रश्न आता है कि जब
Then the question may be raised that if everything is happening here only and I have nothing to do with that, then saying that do this, don't do that, why does Shastra give us order us to do this, to not do that? Shastra gives us order because we are identifying with that. So Shastra says leave it. Meaning we have this much freedom that we hold on to this or we don't hold on to this. It happens in Prakriti only, but I hold on to that or I don't hold on to that, that is up to me. For that, Bhagavan is not telling that you don't have that much freedom also. Now that I said earlier that in today's modern psychology has also investigated and found out that when you get a thought, then it is already there. You just think it later. So it proves that even our thought is not ours. So that is their point of view. But because the way they research, that research is mostly based on rajas and tamas only. What is sattva and how a sattvic person thinks, they do not understand that. They do not understand what is the state of samadhi and what a person can think in the state of samadhi. So their research is okay, it is fine according to their state of being, but that is not the ultimate truth. That's why the example that I gave was just to explain this, that when Bhagavan is saying that everything is being done by Prakriti. But there is something beyond that also, because you should understand that in the same verse where Bhagavan said,
अहंकार विमूढ़ आत्मा कर्ता हमिति मन्यते, वहां पर एक
in
क्रिया
this
का उन्होंने
verse,
प्रयोग किया
Bhagavan has used a verb, manyate, that he considers.
सज्जते,
And here also he is telling the same thing, matva na sajjate,
उसका इसमें
that one who thinks like this, he is not
इसका
bound.
मतलब ये मानना और जानना,
That means
ये हमारे
to
पास
think
में है,
like this,
हम
to
इसको कैसे कर
consider
सकते हैं, लेकिन समस्या क्या
in
आती
what
है,
way we want, that is up to
मानना और
us.
जानना भी
But
हमारे
the problem is that our considering, our thinking is also
इसलिए ऐसा
influenced
लगता है
by
कि
our
आध्यात्मिक रूप से
samskaras. That's why it appears as
तो
if
मैं इसको थोड़ा
there
और
is nothing in our control.
तरीके से आपको समझाता हूँ,
So
क्योंकि
I will try to
बहुत गूढ़
explain
विषय
this
है,
to you
इसको
in little more technical way, because it is a very deep
माया जो
subject.
है,
You have to understand
जिसको
this.
हम कहते हैं कि माया का
So
बंधन,
Maya,
इस
what we
माया का
say like
बंधन को श्री
bondage,
जीव गोस्वामी जी
Maya
ने बड़े
has
बड़े
two
ढंग से समझाया
divisions.
है।
Shri Jiva Goswami has explained this very
वो कहते हैं
nicely
कि
in
माया के
Paramatma
दो प्रकार
Sandarbha.
हैं,
So
कहते
he
माया
says
के
that
दो
Maya
प्रकार
has two divisions.
और वो कारण है हमारा, तो कारण दो
So
प्रकार के होते हैं,
Maya leads to bondage,
सभी लोग
and
जानते हैं, एक
there
उपादान
are
कारण
there
होता
are
है, एक
two
निमित्त कारण
reasons.
होता है।
One is Upadan and one is
जैसे आप
Nimitta.
हमारे न्याय का उदाहरण लें, घड़ा
If
बनाए
you take
कुम्हार,
the example of Nyaya, a potter
न्याय
makes
किसको
a pot.
बोलते हैं, हम मॉडर्न
Or
एग्जांपल
let's
लेते
take
हैं,
a
न्याय
modern
को,
example, you make soup.
क्योंकि न्याय वाले घड़ा ही बनाते रहते हैं,
Because the Nayayikas are always into making pots only. Because in villages earlier there were potters. So let's say you are making soup.
एक तो उसका जो
So
उपादान है
in
वो
soup, for
व्यक्ति
making
जिससे
soup, there are
बनाता
two
है,
factors.
सब्जी
One is
है,
the
फल
element,
है,
the raw materials through
अग्नि
which
है,
are
तो
used to
इसको
make the
बोलते हैं
soup.
उपादान कारण,
This is known as
न्याय की
Upadana
भाषा में इसको
Karan.
बोलते हैं समवाय कारण,
In Nyaya language, we call
और
it
एक
Samvai
बनाने
Karan.
वाला है,
And other is the
आपका
person who
उपकरण
is
है,
making it,
आपका स्टोव है,
the stove,
ठीक
the
है,
vessel.
तो इनको बोलते हैं निमित्त कारण,
These are known as Nimitta Karan.
क्योंकि ये निमित्त कारण जो है वो सूप का अंग नहीं
They
बनते
do
हैं,
not become a part of the soup.
लेकिन उनके बगैर सूप नहीं बनेगा,
But without this
तो
Nimitta
इसलिए
Karan,
माया हमारा
soup
जो
cannot be
मूल
made.
कारण है उसके भी दो कारण है,
So
एक उपादान
our
कारण
bondage due to Maya is due to two reasons. One is Upadana
जिससे
Karan,
शरीर बनता है,
by which our
हमारा
body
शरीर
is
क्या
made,
है,
the elements through with
चित्त है,
which our body is made. Like in body we have Chitta,
प्रकृति के बाद आता है
like
महतत्व,
there is
महतत्व के
Prakriti,
बाद
then there is
अहंकार,
Mahatattva, then
अहंकार के
Ahankara,
फिर तीन विभाग होते हैं,
then Ahankara has three divisions:
बुद्धि और इंद्रिय
mind,
और विषय,
intelligence, senses,
ठीक है ना,
and objects, the
तो
sense
ये सारा
objects.
उपादान है,
So
क्योंकि हमारे
this
शरीर में
entire thing
पांच
is the
संघ,
Upadana.
पांच कर्मेंद्रियां, पांच ज्ञानेंद्रियां, पांच
Five
तन्मात्रा,
five action performing senses, five knowledge acquiring senses, five sense objects, five senses,
इतना ही है,
then mind,
तो
intelligence, chitta, and
ये
ahankara.
सब है
This is
उपादान,
total 24.
जिससे हमारा शरीर
This
जो
is
है
the
वो बनता
upadan
है,
by which with which our
लेकिन
body
इससे
is made
काम
of.
तो नहीं चलता है ना,
But this is not enough
इसमें
for the
कुछ
body to function.
विचारधारा भी आनी चाहिए,
In this, there should be some
कुछ
thought
भाव
process
आने चाहिए,
also. There
एक
should be
वस्तु
some
है,
bhava
एक
also.
मशीन है,
Like there is a
तो जब
machine.
किसी की इच्छा होगी,
So in order to function
तो
that,
इच्छा
there
होगी
you
तो
need to
ज्ञान
have
होगा,
some desire. Somebody has to have a desire to make it function.
तो
And
ज्ञान होगा तो
behind the
ज्ञान से
desire, there will
बुद्धि
be
होगी,
knowledge. So there first there will be
बुद्धि के बाद
knowledge,
जाके
then
बुद्धि
desire,
कर्म का गुण है,
and
कृत्य
then
का मतलब यहाँ क्रिया
action.
से नहीं है, जो वास्तविक क्रिया होती है,
Here, like in Nyaya, we say
वो
kriti.
आत्मा में
Here,
होती है,
in Nyaya, kriti is in the
चित्त
Atma.
में होती है, वो
According to
हमारे
us,
मत के अनुसार,
kriti is in the Chitta, according to the Vaishnava
तो वो
understanding.
अविद्या का अंग है,
So that is a part of
तो ये जो
avidya.
उपादान समझ गए आप, ये
So you
सारा कचड़ा जो
understand?
आप देख रहे
Did
हैं
you
इसको
understand
उपादान
what is
बोलते
the
हैं,
Upadan Karan? Whatever you
ये
see around
उपादान
you,
कारण है,
this is all Upadan
और
Karan.
हम इसके अंदर जो बैठे हुए हैं,
And we who are seated
हमारा
inside
जो
this body,
ज्ञान है, ज्ञान को
we
कैसे
have the
दिखाते हैं,
knowledge that we have. You cannot show
इसको
knowledge as a visible,
बुद्धि
tangible object.
चित्त अहंकार, इनको तो अपन ज्ञान और इच्छा और फिर
Then
करने की
desire,
जो एक कृति
and
करने की
then
आती है,
the kriti, the
वो हमारा
impulse to
अपना निमित्त
perform
है,
action. That is the
उससे ये चलता
nimitta,
है,
because this body functions by
जैसे
that.
कंप्यूटर है,
Like
उसका
you
एक
have
हार्डवेयर है,
computer,
वो
computer
हार्डवेयर
has a
है,
hardware
उसका
is
एक
the
सॉफ्टवेयर
upadana
है,
karan,
सॉफ्टवेयर
and
है,
there is a software inside. You can't show the software as a tangible,
जैसे हमारे
visible
हार्ड
thing
डिस्क
what it
निकाल के
is.
लें,
Like
वो
if you
सब
take out the
हार्डवेयर है,
hard disk,
उसमें
it's a
प्रोग्राम है,
hardware.
प्रोग्राम तो
It
दिखेगा,
contains the program also. Will you be able to
लेकिन वो
see the
एक
program?
अरेंजमेंट है,
No, it is just the program is just an arrangement.
मॉलिक्यूल्स का या जो भी है, तो इसी प्रकार क्या होता है कि ये जो
So
ज्ञान
similarly, what happens is
ये
the
हमारे उपादान में घुस जाती है।
knowledge, the jnana, ichha, the desire, and the kriti, the impulse to perform action, it enters the body. Like ahankara, there is an ahankara tattva, prakriti, then ahankar, and then mahatattva leads to ahankar. Without ahankar, nothing will work. But ahankara is a material substance, material element.
मर गया
When a person dies, the ahankara does not work.
एक अहम भाव होता है,
Then that ahankara has an aham bhava also,
अहंकार
I-ness.
एक होता
One is I and one is the I-ness.
का हार्ड डिस्क है,
So there is ahankar and ahankara bhav. Like you have a hard disk, but there is no program in that. So you can take that hard disk as ahankara. And the program inside that hard disk, you can take it as aham bhava. But that is also not sufficient because the Atma brings consciousness into it. Then it functions. Like there is a robot. Robot looks like a human being. What you see, that is Upadan Karan, but that robot also contains a program inside. That program makes it function. So the aham bhava, it enters the ahankar, and because of that, the person thinks that this is I.
और अहम भाव जो है
Only ahankara is not sufficient. It should have aham bhava also. And this aham bhava is of the Atma. Atma has the I.
समझे ना, क्योंकि जब आप गाढ़ निद्रा में होते हैं
When you are into deep sleep, then also your I is maintained. The I-ness is maintained.
बाद आप कहते हैं कि
So when you wake up, you say that I slept very happily. I did not realize anything. So who did not understand anything? So it proves that somebody is there.
तो इसलिए हम कुछ कर नहीं सकते हैं,
So senses are not active.
कर सकती
So we cannot do anything.
वास्तव में प्रकृति भी कुछ नहीं करती,
Actually, Prakriti also cannot do anything.
कुछ नहीं कर सकती
In the original state, Prakriti cannot do anything.
कहा
That's why here Prakriti is referred to as Guna.
गुण ही कर्माणि सर्वश, प्रकृति की जो मूल अवस्था रहती है उस मूल
In
अवस्था
the
में
original primordial state, Prakriti cannot do anything. That is its balanced equilibrium state. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas are in equilibrium. That time Prakriti cannot do anything.
आती है
When the equilibrium is disturbed, then activity starts.
और आत्मा में तो कोई विकार होता ही नहीं है, प्रकृति में
So
विकार होता है,
Atma does not have any vikar. Vikara is in Prakriti. So how will Atma do anything? Because Atma does not have any vikar. Those who say Atma has this, Atma has that, Swarup, etc. There is nothing. Atma is nirvikar.
होगा तो उसमें विकार पैदा हो जाएगा,
There is never any change in the Atma, no transformation. That's why Atma itself cannot do anything. That's why those who have Brahma Sayujya, they cannot do any function.
एकदम शांत।
They are just still, nirvikar.
तो करने के लिए हमको इंद्रियां चाहिए,
So
शरीर
to function, we need the senses, we need the body, whether it is material body or spiritual body.
आत्मा, फिर आत्मा के अंदर जो अहम है
The aham which is there in the Atma, the I-ness in the Atma, that I-ness makes tadatmya with the ahankara.
होगा चित्त जड़ ग्रंथि,
This is called Chit Jad Granthi, the knot,
और जड़ ये
what we popularly call the knot in the heart.
जिसको हृदय,
This is Granthi,
इसको हृदय ग्रंथि भी बोलते
the knot of the heart.
हैं, ये अहंकार सब हृदय के इस स्थान में है। तो ये जो तादात्म्य
Because
है,
Chitta Atma are in the play region of the heart, that's why it is popularly known as knot in the heart.
और इस निमित्त
So this tadatmya,
है माया का,
it is the cause of the problem.
तीन भाग हैं,
And the nimitta karan of the
ठीक है ना,
Atma has three parts, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Then you can make two parts, Vidya and Avidya.
विद्या आती है,
Sattva leads to Vidya, Rajas and Tamas lead to Avidya.
तो जीव जो है वो
So,
विद्या
the Jiva,
से बंधा
the Atma, is bound by Avidya.
विद्या के कारण होता अविवेक,
And this Avidya leads to Avivek, lack of discrimination.
तो उसको फिर ये दृष्टि नहीं रहती है कि मैं कौन
And when
हूँ,
it lacks discrimination, it does not understand who am I actually.
और
And then there is a kind of oneness between the Atma and the body.
इच्छा कृति अब अज्ञान के कारण चल रही हैं,
Then the Gyan, Ichha and Kriti inside the body, they are functioning as per the Avidya.
मतलब ज्ञान का अभाव भी हो सकता है,
Agyan can mean lack of knowledge, and Agyan also means wrong knowledge,
है वैसा ना समझना,
not understanding any object as it is. that is also agyan. So the functions then happen according to agyan,
इसी का नाम बंधन
wrong
है।
knowledge. This is bondage.
ठीक है, ये बात समझ आई ना?
Is this clear?
तो जैसे हमारा अविवेक अनादि है,
So just like
here,
our avivek, lack of
जैसे हमारा
discrimination, is
बंधन अनादि है,
begin from beginningless
ऐसे हमारे
time.
पास में मोक्ष, मुक्ति, विवेक वो भी वास्तव में अनादि है।
Similarly, the moksha, mukti, and vivek, they are also anadi. If we situate ourselves in sattva, then
इसको जीवन मुक्ति बोलते हैं।
we are out of bondage. That is called jivan mukti.
लेकिन क्योंकि हम अपने गुणों से प्रभावित रहते हैं, गुणों
But
के
because
द्वारा
we are
इस
influenced, we are under the influence of rajas and tamas. Then that's why we do not have this
शास्त्र
vivek.
हमको उसी की बात करते हैं।
So
इसलिए हमारे
Shastra teaches about that only.
जो नियम बनाए
That's
गए
why
हैं,
in our dharma,
शास्त्र के
the rules which are made
आदि वो
about brahmacharya, ahimsa, etc.
कैसे आप
One of the primary reasons for making all these rules is that to take the jiva from rajas and tamas to sattva. Because until and unless you situate yourselves in sattva, you will not be able to understand what you are hearing.
मूल कारण जो है हमारे अंदर ही बैठा हुआ है, जैसे आगे भगवान कहेंगे इस बात को।
All the problem is lying inside only.
जनो बुद्धिर अस्य अधिष्ठानम् उच्यते। अधिष्ठान माने स्थान, उनका बैठने का स्थान, इंद्रिय मन बुद्धि
Like
वहीं पर
Bhagavan says that these are all situated in Indriya, Mana, Buddhi itself. So the instruments by which we will understand the problems are lying in those instruments only.
और आप ओझा को बुलाओ,
Like if somebody is caught up by a ghost,
लेकिन अगर सरसों में ही भूत बैठा हुआ है
then some mantras,
भूत को कैसे हटाएं?
something.
तो इसलिए बुद्धि से ही तो हमारा विवेक होता है। बुद्धिया युक्तया
So
पार्थ कर्म बंधम प्राश्यस्य।
Vivek happens by Buddhi only, but if avivek is there in Buddhi only, then how shall we understand?
कब सोना, कब उठना, क्या क्रिया करना, जिसके आज आधुनिक विद्यार्थी, आधुनिक लोग, युवा लोग सब कहते रहते हैं ये क्यों करें, ये सब पाखंड है।
So now the young people, they say, why do we have to follow these rules? Wake up early, sleep early, so many rules. These are all outdated, old-fashioned stuff. So due to influence of rajas and tamas, they are thinking like this. So you can't say exactly it is their fault. It is just due to rajas and tamas.
विभाग है जो तत्वविद है वो तो जानता है ना।
But the tattvavit, one who knows the tattva, he understands what is the problem actually.
ये तो
So
होना ही है। जैसे उदाहरण के लिए
these functions are happening.
आपने आज तक
For
अनेक
example,
पदार्थ खाए,
till today you must have eaten so many items of food you don't even remember.
प्रकार के स्वाद आपने लिए,
You must have tasted so many things, but you remember only few tastes, not all of them.
उसकी अगर सुगंध आ जाए,
If you
खाता हुआ
by chance also smell that or you see that item on somebody's plate, then your mouth starts watering. But why not for the other ones? But only for these ones, because you are holding on to this taste. You have caught it tightly.
कान में जाते हैं,
Similarly,
लेकिन कुछ
many words enter our ear, but we hold on to some words.
को एकदम
Like somebody criticized us,
किसी ने हमारी प्रशंसा कर दी,
we hold on to that. Somebody praised us,
कि हम सब
we hold on to that.
पकड़ते हैं।
Otherwise, we hear so many words, we do not hold on to them tightly. We hear Bhagavad Gita, but we do not hold on to these words of Gita tightly. We are not able to memorize Sanskrit grammar sutras nicely. But if somebody praises you, you will remember that whole life. If somebody criticizes you, you remember that whole life. You forget that only when you go to the grave.
तो यही
So why does that happen? Because we hold on to it tightly. This is bondage. There is no other bondage. The story of Buddha that I narrated, Buddha did not hold on to that. So we have to remain nirlipta, not get caught up in all this. But because of avidya,
तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानं येषां नाशितम् आत्मनः तेषाम् आदित्यवत् ज्ञानं प्रकाशयते महात्मा। तो प्रकाश लाना, नहीं ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रं।
so to bring that prakash, bring that light,
ज्ञान की है,
purity is of knowledge.
गंगा में
Knowledge is like Ganga. Like people takes bath in Ganga. Ganga and is Gyan and Yamuna is Bhakti.
प्रयाग है,
And the meeting point of both, the confluence of both the rivers, that is Prayag. So that is the bath we have to take in knowledge and bhakti.
भक्ति करेंगे तो वो केवल एक
without knowledge, if we do bhakti, it will just be sentimentality,
तो इसलिए
and will make mistakes
ज्ञान
also.
जो है वो भी भक्ति का ही अंग है।
Actually, knowledge is also a part of bhakti only, but if you still see them separately, then this is the confluence of both jnana and bhakti, and we have to take bath in this confluence, and then our bondage will be over,
इसलिए
because this
भगवान ने
bondage is
श्लोक
just
में भी
in our
मत्वा
mind.
शब्द का प्रयोग किया और यहाँ भी मत्वा शब्द का प्रयोग कर रहे हैं। ये सब माना हुआ है।
So this is just
तो इस
in our mind,
मानना
just
और जानना
considering like this.
एक जानकर माना जाता है, एक मानकर जाना जाता है।
One is we consider with knowledge, and one is we consider without knowledge.
हम मानते हैं उसको,
We have some ideas,
किसी चीज का अनुभव किया,
we have some notions because we have actually experienced
जानकर मानना।
like that, we have
हमने
understood
उसका
that.
अनुभव नहीं किया,
And one is we have not experienced something, but with praman we have heard from gurujanas,
किया तो हम उसको
and
मानते हैं,
we
इसको
have
श्रद्धा बोलते
those
हैं।
notions or ideas in
श्रद्धा
mind.
का
This
मतलब
is
है
called
जानना
shraddha.
नहीं, माने नहीं।
Shraddha means what we do not know,
अनुभव का मतलब
but we still
हम
accept
जानते
that.
हैं इसलिए मानते
And
हैं।
anubhava is an
तो हमें इस
experience, is what
एक्सपीरियंस
we
के
know
द्वारा बताना है।
and we accept that. So from
फिर हम उसमें स्थित
shraddha
हो जाएं।
stage we have to come to this
फिर
bhava,
फिर हम उसमें स्वरूप में स्थित हो जाएं। तो
so
इसलिए
that we
भगवान
become
कहते हैं
situated in our swarup. That's why Bhagavan says
तो ये खेल है एक जो चल रहा है,
this is a game going
तो
on,
हम इस खेल को देखें
and we should simply be
और
witnessing
इस
this
प्रयास
game.
को हम माने।
And before witnessing this game, we should actually accept that this is just a game. Just by accepting that this is a game, your problem will be solved. And when you actually understand that,
तो ये
when you experience that this is just a game, then you will get rasa.
तो अभी क्या होता
So
है
Bhagavan is speaking this very important verse.
जीवन जो है
So now what is going on is like our
कर्म के अनुसार
in our life we perform karma. According to karma, our swabhava is made.
इच्छाएं होती है,
We get a swabhav, and according to swabhav we have desires, and according to desires we do karma, and that karma further
इसी को
solidifies our swabhava, and this is the cycle
के
of
लिए
this
भगवान
birth and death.
तो
So
कहते
how
हैं
to
कि
get out of this cycle, Bhagavan is explaining.
सृजति प्रभु न कर्म फल संयोगम स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते। आगे जाके कहेंगे कि वास्तव में जो प्रभु
In
है,
the
प्रभु
upcoming
माने
verses he will say
भगवान से नहीं कहता, वास्तव में उसका ना कोई कर्तृत्व है ना कोई कर्म है।
that Atma actually has no kartritva, no karma. It is just sorry, the person has no kartritva karma. It is just swabhava functioning.
इस नवद्वार की पुरी में बैठा हुआ आत्मा ना कुछ करता है ना
So Atma, which is seated in this body of 9 gates, neither it does anything nor gets anything done by others.
करता है ना करवाता है, लेकिन अविद्या के कारण ये सब सोचता है। सो ये पश्यति तथात्मानम अकर्तारम से पश्यति। जो आत्मा को इस प्रकार देखता है तो वो अकर्तारम ही समझता है। लेकिन आगे जाके 13वें अध्याय में जो भगवान कहते हैं कि पुरुष सुख दुख,
So later in the 13th chapter, Bhagavan will say,
पुरुष प्रकृति वही भुंगते प्रकृति जान गुणन, कि पुरुष जो है, तो वहां पुरुष का मतलब इसी से है। जब आत्मा
when he will refer to Purusha, it means this only when Atma establishes tadatmya of its aham bhava with the material ahankara, then it is called Jiva. This is the difference between Atma and Jiva. Although the words Jiva, Purusha are used for the pure Atma also, but this is a technical difference between these two. When Shastra says Nara, Purusha, Jiva, it means the Atma which has done adhyas, done tadatmya, sort of oneness between its I-ness and the material ahankara. So then it is called the enjoyer and the doer, and then there is bondage of karma. So what is the fundamental reason for this? All, like I said, there are so many tastes, we become attached to few of them. So basically we become attached. That attachment is the cause of bondage.
कार्य कर्म समाचरण असक्तो ही आचरण कर्म परम आपनोति पुरुष। तो सारी समस्या ये आसक्ति में
So
है।
all the problem is due to this asakti only, the attachment only.
इसको समझना होगा
And in order to
के विभाग
give up this attachment, we have to understand this division of guna and
आगे चलते रहे
karma. Otherwise, we will keep working according to our
एक बार एक
samskaras only.
आर्मी का ऑफिसर था
So once there was a retired army
उसने देखा
officer,
कि
he was in a
एक
restaurant.
दार्शनिक व्यक्ति वहां पर बैठ
So
के
there was a philosopher sitting there.
स्वभाव से
He was
कैसे
teaching
चलता है
his student how
कैसे स्वभाव
how everybody functions according to his
बंधन
swabhava,
में रखता है
how
तो
swabhava
वो चाहते
keeps
थे
him in
उसका उदाहरण मैं
bondage.
आपको दूं
Do you want to see
तो वो जो
live example?
ऑफिसर था वो वहाँ जो उसका
The student said
खिड़कियों से
yes.
कुछ
So the army
चाय
officer
कॉफी लेके
in
आता है
he was bringing some tea or coffee from the counter,
तो इस
and when he
दार्शनिक
was
व्यक्ति ने
about
कहा
to sit, the
अटेंशन
philosopher said loudly,
तो
attention.
जैसे ही उसने अटेंशन कहा
So just
उसने अपने हाथ
as
से
he
कप
said
को नीचे
attention,
करके वो एकदम
the army officer he gave up the cup and he immediately stood in attention
सारा
pose.
भोजन नीचे गिर गया
All the food, the tea, coffee, whatever it was, it
फिर वो
fell
बहुत
down.
नाराज हुआ इसलिए
And then he
इस
became
दार्शनिक
very
व्यक्ति
upset
से
on this
बोला कि
philosopher.
मेरा सब
What did
भोजन
you
नीचे
do?
मैंने तो आपसे कुछ नहीं कहा
So the philosopher said, I did not tell anything to
सब
you.
नीचे गिरा
Did I
दिया
tell you that you throw away all this?
तो इस तरह से संस्कार
So
स्वभाव इस
samskaras,
तरह से कार्य
swabhav,
करता है
they function like this.
तो यहाँ पर ही हमको अपनी चेतना लानी है
So this is where we have to bring our
वित्त माने
consciousness.
जानकार जानने
Like
वाला
here it was said,
बोध
Tattvavit. Tattvavit means one who is
और
knower,
उसके लिए
who understands, is
हमको
knowledgeable.
जागरूकता बना के रखनी
And
पड़ेगी
for that, we have to
बार
maintain
बार
our
बोलते रहते हैं
awareness. What I
भगवान बार बार गीता में
keep
बुद्धि
repeating
बुद्धि शब्द का प्रयोग करते
about
हैं
awareness, Bhagavan
तो
is
वो जागरूकता
always
कैसे
talking
होगी
about
स्वभाव
buddhi
से
in
ऊपर
Gita.
उठेंगे नहीं तो स्वभाव
So
से
we
नीचे
can
गिरेंगे
rise above our swabhava only by
ये
awareness.
तो हो ही रहा है और ऐसे ही होता
Otherwise,
रहेगा
what
इसलिए
Bhagavan
इसको
has told
समझना
here in
होगा
Gita,
जब
Prakrite
इसको
Kriyamanani, it will always continue.
कि जब तुम्हें कोई गाली दे जब तुम्हें
If
कोई प्रशंसा
if
करे
you raise your level of awareness, then
तो गौरवम
you will
महाबाहो
not be affected when somebody criticizes you.
क्या है वो सम क्या है सम्मानम सुरापानम गौरवम घोर रौरवम प्रतिष्ठा शुक्र विष्ठा ही तत्रई तजेत तो ये सब बाहर है आपकी प्रशंसा होती है वो भी आपके बाहर है आपकी कोई निंदा करता है वो भी
So when
आपके
you
बाहर
are
है
praised, that praise is outside
उससे निवृत्त
your
होकर
swarupa. When you are criticized, that criticism is outside your swarupa.
गुण कर्म ये तो विषय और इंद्रियों का खेल चल रहा है राग द्वेष वियक्त स्तु
So what is
विषयानुराग
going on now is
इसका
just
मतलब
a
ये नहीं
game
है
of
कि हम
raga and
आध्यात्मिक नहीं
dvesh,
है
senses and sense
अयोग्य
objects.
खाना नहीं
It
है
does not mean that we do not have to
आपको
perform
ध्यान
our
करना है नहीं
function
करना है
of
नहीं हो
eating,
सकता है
sleeping,
शरीर
whatever. No, we have to
शरीर
do
भले ही
everything,
आपका स्वस्थ रहे लेकिन उससे निर्लिप्त रहना
but you
तो
should
ये
not be affected by
राग
that. You should
द्वेष
not be
आदि
attached to all
कर्म
that.
योग की यहाँ पर
So this is the art
विधि
of
है
karma yoga that Bhagavan is
इस
teaching,
तरह से
and
आप
in bhakti yoga
क्रिया
also
करते रहें लेकिन उसमें
it is
लिप्त
like
न
that
रहें
only, that
और इसके लिए
being
उन्होंने
a
कहा
bhakta you keep performing your duties but
मैं
do
यही
not,
करता हूँ
you do your functions but do not become
कर्माणि
attached
नैवं
to that.
लिप्यन्ति न मे कर्म फले स्पृहा कहते हैं कर्म मुझको बांधते नहीं है क्यों नहीं बांधते हैं
So
क्योंकि
when
मेरी
Bhagavan
तरफ से
says
कोई
that I
स्पृहा
am
नहीं है इच्छा
not
नहीं है
bound by karma,
आनंद
why
के
he is
आश्रय
not bound?
इच्छा के
That
आश्रय
is because he does not have any attachment.
तो उसके लिए यहाँ भगवान ये समझाते हैं
So
और
that's
इसलिए
why
अर्जुन को
Bhagavan
कहते
is
हैं कि आप
explaining here
महाबाहु हैं
and telling to Arjun
आपकी बड़ी
that
बड़ी
you
भुजाएं हैं
are mighty armed,
इसका कहने का मतलब है कि
you
प्रत्येक
have
जीव
great
में
arms. What
ये
basically it means is that
जरूर
every
इसकी
jiva has
क्षमता है
this
कि वो
qualification,
अपने
this
कर्मों का
ability,
प्रयोग कर सकता है
that
कि अपनी बुद्धि का
if
प्रयोग
he wants to get out of
अपने
this
संसार
bondage,
से निकल
he
सकता
can
है
use his
लेकिन
arms,
इसके
which
लिए
means
ज्ञान
that he can use
अभ्यास
his
पूर्वक
knowledge.
करना होगा
But for that,
किसी
the
दूसरे पर
jiva has to do
निर्भर नहीं
endeavor.
कोई दूसरा
He
आपको
cannot
सिखाएगा
depend on
कोई आपकी
others.
कुंडलिनी
It
जागृत
is
करेगा
not that
वो सब उसे
somebody keeps
समझाएगा
his hand on your head and your kundali will be awakened.
और अगर
All
दूसरे
this
कुछ
does not
बताते
happen.
हैं
Do not be under
तो
this illusion.
प्रयोजन उनका
And even if it
शास्त्रीय
happens,
होगा
it may be
वो
simply
हमारा नहीं
because
कर
he
सकते
already had some
इसलिए कोई
samskaras
सिखा
from
नहीं
the
सकता वो
previous
ऐसे
birth.
करते नहीं है
Only
भगवान ऐसे
Bhagavan
करते हैं
or some high, very
लेकिन
great Siddha Purush can do
भगवान
that.
का उसके
But
सामने
Bhagavan
कोई
also does it very, very rarely. Otherwise, Bhagavan would have simply put his hand on Arjuna's
तत्वोपदेश से
head.
समझाया
No,
क्योंकि
Bhagavan did not do that. Bhagavan instructed Bhagavad Gita to
यहाँ
him.
पर तो लोग
Because
जान करके
this is
बोलते हैं
religion.
मैं
This is
समझा दूंगा उसके
religiosity. This is
पीछे क्या है
dharma. But mostly
उससे
people
वास्तव में
run
कोई
after
कल्याण होता नहीं है
chamatkar. people run after magic. That magic does not help anyone. Magic can only help to the extent that it can bring shraddha in you, but after getting that shraddha you have to do your sadhana. Without sadhana it is not possible to get moksha, get out of bondage. It's not possible. So this is the tattva of this verse. If you have any question you can ask.
यूट्यूब से प्रश्न है बाबा जी, शरीर में किसी भी गतिविधि के लिए क्या शरीर के गुणों को प्रकृति के गुणों के साथ व्यवहार करना पड़ता है, जैसे हाथ को खुजलाना?
नहीं, शरीर और प्रकृति में भेद से आप
Body,
शरीर तो प्रकृति का ही बना।
what do you mean by difference between body and prakriti?
कहते हैं शरीर और प्रकृति,
When you say
से आपका क्या
body prakriti, what do you mean by prakriti?
आप बोल सकते हैं? यूट्यूब बोल नहीं सकते तो मेरे को तो समझ नहीं आया आपका क्या मंतव्य है शरीर और प्रकृति से।
I do not understand what you mean by prakriti here, because prakriti has many meanings.
आप कैसे भेद कर रहे हैं?
The way I explained prakriti, I don't understand what difference you are considering between prakriti and body. Body is made of the elements of prakriti only.
ललित जी कृपया अपना प्रश्न पूछें।
Radhe Babaji. So thanks for that explanation. From what I take away from this is that we have to become situated in sattva for us to actually get this awareness that I am different from the gunas. And if not, we'll be absorbed in rajas and tamas, and it's impossible for us to understand it. If I'm taking it back a little bit, it's almost like if someone puts an anesthetic over my hand, then I lose control of it. But if the anesthetic wears out, then I gain control of it. So this vivek that I am different from this body is actually under anesthesia of rajagun and tamagun. And until that doesn't dissipate, I will not get this understanding that I am different from the gunas and therefore separate. So the best thing we can do is just encourage people to be in sattva. Would that be correct?
Yeah, but encouraging. उनका प्रश्न यह है कि जब तक
The question is that until and unless we become situated in sattva, till then rajas and tamas will influence us. So there are 2 points in this. First of all, there is no person who does not have any sattva. He just has only rajas and tamas. Everybody has sattva, rajas, tamas, all three in varying proportions. And that proportion also keeps changing. If a person drinks wine, then his rajas tamas will increase. If somebody eats sattvic food, then his sattva will increase. If you hear spiritual lectures, if you associate with devotees, your sattva will increase. So wherever one is situated, you can explain that much.
यहीं से तो चालू हुए थे ना, बुद्धि भेदम जनियेद अज्ञानम कर्म संगी नाम। तो कर्म संगी का मतलब रजस।
So he started from teaching from here only. Karma sangi nam. So sangi means he is influenced by rajas tamas. He is not talking about the sattvic person. So Bhagavan is telling that you can teach him something, whatever, according to your qualification, and you can try to bring him on the path of sattva. Even to understand this point, that sattva is beneficial for us, to understand this also you need some sattva.
तो सत्व से ज्ञान होता है, तो ये ज्ञान भी तो
So sattva leads to knowledge. So you have to give him this knowledge also.
कुछ तो सत्व होना ही चाहिए।
That sattva is good for you. Even to understand this, the person should have some sattva. If he doesn't have that much sattva also, how will you explain to him? So then if you cannot understand, explain anything, then just try to engage him in good actions and try to influence him to avoid the wrong actions.
जी का प्रश्न है, इच्छा कैसे बदली जा सकती है?
Next question, how can desire be changed? By knowledge or by action? Can desire be changed by mechanical japa? Answer, nothing, no change happens by anything done mechanically. I have told this again and again. If mechanically working would lead to any change, then there would be no need for Bhagavan to speak Bhagavad Gita. Sri Rupa Goswami has also told in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu
कि आप साधन करें अनासंग,
that if you do your sadhana mechanically,
बहुत देर तक भी
then even for a long time you will not achieve bhav. So it does have some effect, but the question is, why do you want to do things mechanically when you have understood?
पकड़ना चाहिए ना.
Why don't you do it with awareness? When you hear understand something beneficial, then you should accept and do it with awareness.
लेकिन ना कुछ करने से तो मैकेनिकल भी अच्छा,
But mechanical
कुछ तो लाभ होता ही है ऐसे.
japa is at least better than not doing anything. It will have obviously have some benefit.
हो गया.
बाबा जी इसमें संस्कार में भी प्रकार होते हैं क्या?
संस्कार
संस्कार जो इंप्रेशंस हम कैरी करते
So
हैं,
question, are sanskaras also of different types?
या प्रकृति का किस विभाग में आता है ये संस्कार, जो इंप्रेशंस?
Sanskaras fall in which division of Prakriti? So answer, Swabhava is a nimitta karan.
एंड इसका ये भी हो सकता है बाबा जी, बिकॉज जब जपा करते हैं या गुरु का आज्ञा पालन करते हैं सारी चीजों
So
में,
question, when we do japa, follow the order of Guru.
आत्म का स्थिति है जो ट्रांसेंडेंटल प्लेजर है, जब उनको मिलता है, जब ये नीचे स्थिति का आनंद को ऑटोमेटिकली
So when we achieve transcendental pleasure doing japa, following order of Guru, then
और ज्यादा आनंद है मुझे,
we
वो मिलेगा तो
achieve
छोड़ना भी
higher pleasure, then we can give up the lower pleasures easily, but then we do not like, but we do not like to give them up. So answer, first you have to understand things properly. As I said, there is Gyan Ichha Prakriti. So first of all, you need to have the correct knowledge. That is most important. If you have the right knowledge, then only you will have the right desire and you will perform the right action. If your understanding will be wrong, your desires will also be wrong. So right understanding, right desire is very important.
इसलिए शास्त्र की समझो, शास्त्र की बात को मानो, और शास्त्र की बात को नहीं मानोगे तो यह शास्त्र
That's why Bhagavan said, you understand Shastra, follow Shastra.
सिद्धिं समाप्नोति न सुखं न परां गतिं, तो फिर आपको लाभ नहीं होगा.
तो मतलब इस संस्कार से जो भी बुरे अटैचमेंट ग्रंथि को निकालना है, हम आत्मा को निकलना है.
So if we have to come out of this attachment,
वो बाहर से ही हो सकता है, मतलब बाहर
that can happen from outside only, by Shastra, by Guru only. Answer, yes. On your own, one cannot understand. On his own, one cannot understand anything. You have to learn from somebody.
अनादि विद्या युक्तस्य पुरुषस्य आत्म वेदनम न स्वतो स्यात्. भगवान कहते हैं कि जो अनादि विद्या से जो पुरुष
Bhagavan says that this bondage of Anadi Avidya, you cannot understand
अन्य दो भवेत,
on your own.
अन्य दो भवेत, उसको ज्ञान देने,
Somebody else has to give you knowledge.
क्योंकि वही समस्या है ना कि जो आपका तंत्र है जिससे आप ज्ञान,
Because the problem is the instrument, the mechanism by which you get knowledge, that instrument itself is infected with virus. So how can you remove virus by virus? You need external help or no?
बाबा जी ये एक्सेप्टेंस करने में, मतलब शास्त्र को एक्सेप्ट करने में, ये हायर अथॉरिटीज को एक्सेप्ट करने में, वो दूसरा प्रकृति में चले जाते हैं जो इंटरनल पोटेंसी ऑफ लॉर्ड. जब ये
So question, when accepting higher authorities, accepting Shastra, it goes to internal potency of Bhagavan.
करीब मान लेते हैं ना ये सारी चीज. जब ये एक्सेप्टेंस हो जाता है, वो उस जिंदगी में जीने लगता है, इस जिंदगी से बाहर आके, मतलब बाहर तो जिंदगी जी रहे बट उस जिंदगी को एक्सेप्ट कर लेता है. जब वो इंटरनल पोटेंसी ऑफ लॉर्ड टेक्स ओवर हिम, विल इट टेक ओवर हिम?
हाँ, तो टेक ओवर का मतलब यही है ना, जब आप
The answer, take over means when you have accepted the internal potency, Guru, Shastra, that you have accepted. Now what take over is there? The Shastra is Bhagavan's Vani. If you accept Shastra, then you come out of the bondage. Simple.
इसलिए तो मानने की बात कर रहे हैं ना, मत्वा न सज्जते.
That's why Bhagavan is just talking about
तो हम गलत को भी
manyate. You can accept the wrong thing or the wrong thing or the right thing. It is just about what you accept.
हो गया. प्रार्थना श्लोक. सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपाल नंदनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्रगीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मन्त्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयः स्यात् निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम् यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर् ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांघ्रये भवे भवे यथा भक्तिः पादयोस्तव जायते तथा कुरुष्व देवेश नाथस्त्वं नो यतः प्रभो नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपाप प्रणाशनं प्रणामो दुःखशमनस्तं नमामि हरिं परम् हरि ओम तत्सत्।